I just want to say thank you to Bo DeMeo and every other single person who worked on X-Men 97 and gave us this masterpiece because it is just so freaking good. I'm speechless right now. Obviously I'm not because this is going to be like probably like 10 to 20 minute video, but I just I am so happy with X-Men 97 right now. This is literally one of the greatest things I have ever seen. Not only is it the best animated series of 2024, but the best series overall of this year that I have seen so far. It is that good. This is 100% the best I've ever seen the X-Men, which I'm going to be honest, before this show, I didn't even really care about the X-Men. I mean, growing up, I did watch some of X-Men, the animated series, and, the Fox films and some other X-Men animated projects as well, but I never really loved them. Like, they were there, and I was like, oh, they're cool, I guess. But this show, this show is just something entirely different. And the fact that this is an animated series that has half-hour episodes and they are able to pack in this much story, this much drama, emotion, and tension alongside just having beautiful animated visuals, it's astounding. It truly is. It's just so insane. And it really is like a soap opera, which is crazy. And that's what the X-Men were originally designed to be in the comics. Was the X-Men storylines were like a soap opera, but with X-Men mutant powers. And so that's a really interesting idea, and seeing that on full display here. I mean, we had love triangles, multiple love triangles. We had someone cheating on another person. We had clones, and we had the future and the past, and there's just so much going on here. But I absolutely loved it. And every character had their moment to shine. That's another thing, that when you do a big team, it's hard to focus on each character individually, but this show, it does it. And it does it so well. So well. So this is going to be my season 1 review of Marvel Studios, Marvel Animation, X-Men 97. There's going to be spoilers in here, so if you haven't seen it yet, obviously the season finale came out today, so make sure you go watch that. Avoid spoilers because they're all over the place, but it's just so good, and it's so stuck the landing, because that was another thing I was worried about, is like, the show has been so good so far. It would really suck if this last episode did not stick the landing, but man, it so does. It so does. It's so good. Man, let's just talk about some of these characters individually, because a character like Cyclops before this I never cared about, but he's supposed to be the leader of the team. He's supposed to be a character that is pretty important, and he was never done justice pretty much anywhere else. But here, you see why he is team leader. You see his relationship with Jean Grey, the complexities that come with that, of course, with them having their son, Nathan, and then him coming from the future, and it being Cable. All of that was really lovely and really beautiful, and like I said, the soap opera drama twists, like with the fact that he was basically having a psychic affair with Jean's clone, which that was a whole other thing, but I really like that storyline. I mean, that storyline was a bit rushed, but it worked in the format that it was done here, so I really enjoyed that. Jean obviously was great here. She had her Phoenix power-up moment in the finale, so that was great to see. Beast is cool, as always, love that guy. Jubilee, love her. Obviously she had a relationship with Roberto Sunspot, so that was cool. I liked all that. Bishop was here. Morph was a lot of fun. Morph is another character that I never really cared about because he was barely even in the original series, but him being here, basically used to do a bunch of cameos, was awesome. Such a brilliant use of that character. Having him transform into the Hulk was so awesome. Wolverine is another one that, like, he didn't really do a whole lot, but obviously Wolverine is just cool. Wolverine is awesome. So having him here, and with the adamantium ripped out of his skeleton at the end of this last episode, we don't really get a whole bit with the repercussions of that in this finale, but I'm really excited to see how that goes in season 2. But that was just so cool, so great to see. Storm, I loved her storyline with Forge and her getting her powers back in that new outfit, that costume upgrade. I love that. And her hair just magically grew out longer too. Charles, I mean, all that was cool as well. Him coming back to Earth and all that. But really, the two highlights of this season that kind of go along with other characters as well, Rogue and Magneto. We'll talk about Magneto first. So Magneto is another one that, like, he's always been the big bad, the big main villain of the X-Men storylines, but he's one that, like, I've never really cared about because, like, oh, he has this feud with Charles and, oh, they used to be friends, now they're enemies, and, he can bend magnets and do all that stuff, and I was like, all right, it's cool, I guess, but I don't really get why everybody loves him, but here we get to see why, because here he's not even a villain. He is a little bit, but also not, because this is his redemption arc. This season, he's leading the X-Men team. He's a hero, and he actually has good intentions in mind, and then things don't go well, and then he goes back to being a villain, and then he gets another redemption arc, and it's just so compelling what they did with this character. Obviously, the backstory, just so cool. He had some great monologues. That's another thing. This show, the writing is fantastic. There's some great monologues, some great lines in here, like that phenomenal line from Nightcrawler. It was either last episode or the episode before when he was like, oh, blood is blood, but family is chosen, or something like that. And so good. Nightcrawler, one of my favorite X-Men now. He's one that I've always thought was really cool just because he looked cool and, like, his powers were cool, but I didn't really know much about him as a character. But him here with his, like, religious stuff going on, him always being the kind of he's always got that team spirit, always trying to pump everybody up and make everybody feel better, especially his relationship with his sister Rogue. That was brilliant. That was beautiful. That fight scene where him and Wolverine were teaming up, I believe that was the last episode of the episode before. That was brilliant as well. But like I said, the highlight of this season is Rogue. Rogue, I really noticed this when I was rewatching X-Men the Animated Series. I watched like the first season and a half of that to go into X-Men 97, and after watching that I was like, oh my god, I think Rogue might be my favorite X-Men. And again, before that, like, I didn't really care about her a whole lot. I thought she was cool, but whatever. But here she is so compelling, and it's really interesting, especially because the first couple episodes she really did not do a whole lot, but then you got into her relationship with Magneto, which at first I thought was real weird and real creepy. It still is kind of creepy. There's a big age gap and age difference there. But then, episode 5, my god, so good, because then you, like I said, you have that love triangle with Gambit, and this is another thing that I love about this show, is that this show is not afraid to kill off fan favorite characters. It killed off Gambit in episode 5, only halfway through the season, and, I mean, Gambit's another one that I've never really had a huge love for, but they built him up so well, so subtly here as well. You just felt such pain for his character, and then for him to make that sacrifice, it was just absolutely brilliant. But don't worry, it looks like he is probably coming back next season. We'll talk about that in a bit. Man, Rogue is just so cool, because then she went villain mode again, and then she teamed up with Magneto, and we had this almost like X-Men civil war going on with Magneto, Rogue, and Sunspot versus the rest of the X-Men. That was cool to see. Let's see. Also, Lenore Zan's voice work for Rogue was just absolutely brilliant, so I love that. Okay, we had our main villains of the season. Mr. Sinister was back. He was cool. But we also had Bastion, which the way that was built up and revealed was so cool. Especially the fact that once it was revealed, you could go back to the previous episodes and see that he was actually having hidden cameos throughout these episodes. So that was awesome to see. Bastion was a really cool character. Theo James, great job with the voice work. So I loved that. And he was a really cool character I wasn't expecting to see. And speaking of characters we weren't expecting to see, there are cameos galore here. I mean, we were already getting a bunch of cameos just from morphing into other famous mutants, which was really cool on its own. But then we get Captain America showing up, voiced by Josh Keaton. And then we get some silent cameos, but still characters showing up. Like I said, we saw Hulk, but that was Morph. We saw Spider-Man. We saw Silver Samurai. We saw Omega Red. And then in today's episode, the finale, we see Daredevil. We see Cloak and Dagger. We see Iron Man. We see Doctor Strange. We see freaking Black Panther. Not only Black Panther, but King T'Chaka Black Panther. And this is just like they've got to do something with this. They have got to expand the 90s universe of these Marvel animated shows, because that's a rumor. That's a video I made that's a rumor I made a video about when this show first started, is that everybody was loving this, so Marvel had an idea for let's expand the Marvel universe, because obviously in the 90s there was this connected universe of these Marvel animated shows. It was X-Men the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and Fantastic Four. And so we don't see any Fantastic Four characters pop up here, but we see all these other characters showing up, and like this is how you do cameos, people, because obviously it's much easier in animation because you can just animate them in. You don't have to get a voice actor or anything, but this was just so cool. I would love to have a spin-off Avengers animated series from X-Men 97, or bring back Spider-Man the animated series. Christopher Daniel Barnes has said he would come back and do the voice. He would love to do that. Honestly, bring back the Hulk. I would love to see that. Thunderbolt Ross showed up here. That would be fantastic. There's just so much going on here. I loved, Doctor Doom had a cameo, Baron Zemo. There's just so many cool things going on here. And then the way they ended this season, obviously we wrap up our storyline with Bastion and all that's going on there. So that was cool to see. Oh, Forge was here too. Forgot about that. Forge was cool. And then the X-Men are now displaced throughout time. So we have our setup for season 2, where the X-Men are scattered throughout time, and somebody sent them there. And Scott and Jean and I think Charles and Magneto are in, and Rogue and Nightcrawler. Wait, no. I don't know. Either way, they're all over the place. And some of them are in Egypt with I already forgot how to pronounce the guy's name, but it is Apocalypse from the future, which apparently is even more of a scary guy than actual Apocalypse. But then we do have a post-credit scene here for this season, which we don't get to fully see Apocalypse, just his little creepy blue lipstick smile, and he's talking about death, and he is holding a burning Queen of Hearts card, which I do believe means Gambit is coming back as a horseman for Apocalypse, the Horseman of Death, which is so freaking exciting. Guys, this is just awesome. I love this show. It was so much fun. And like I said, the way, like these cameos and like all this world building and everything is really awesome and really exciting for potential for spin-offs and bringing back some of these other old animated series. We even got to see, we saw Spider-Man a couple episodes ago, but I also want to point out in this episode we saw Peter Parker and Mary Jane. So that's something they could explore in Spider-Man 98. Somehow Mary Jane came back, because that was a big cliffhanger in that animated series. But there's just so much cool stuff going on here, but then also just the stories. Like I said, the writing is fantastic, the character work here, the small character moments. We had some great stuff with Scott, Jean, and Cable, and that whole dynamic, and that the Summers family coming together in the end. It was absolutely brilliant. I had so much fun with this show, and I cannot wait for season 2. I'm so glad that they're already, I think, done with season 2, or almost done with season 2, and they're already working on season 3. So season 2 will be coming soon. I would say definitely by next year. I mean, I doubt we're getting season 2 this year, but season 2 will probably be coming out next year, which I'm so hyped for. I'm so excited for. And we're continuing the X-Men hype going into Deadpool and Wolverine this July. Cannot wait for that. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about X-Men 97 on Disney Plus? Was it as good as you hoped it would be? Did it stick the landing with this finale? And Do you have any theories for season 2 as well as possible spin-offs? Like I said, we're expanding the Marvel animated universe. Do you want to see Spider-Man come back? Do you want to see Hulk come back? Do you want to see an animated Daredevil show or an animated Avengers show with Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk? There's a lot of potential here, so I'm really excited for the future. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.